Hey guys, we are continuing to read The Strangers, and we are on chapter 37. So here we go. Finn. Finn heard the word never. He heard the words too late, and they slipped into a dream he'd been having about playing Trouble and Jenga and other games with Mom. Part of the time they were playing in their regular house, and part of the time they were playing in the abandoned house he'd found after going through the secret tunnel with Chess, Emma, and Natalie. And then Finn was waking up, lifting his head where it bobbed against Chess's shoulder. Maybe Chess had jerked back suddenly, and that had jolted Finn awake. "What's too late?" he mumbled sleepily. He opened his eyes and see Chess, Emma, and Natalie staring back at him in alarm. "Never mind," Chess said, pressing Finn's head back towards his own shoulder. "Don't worry about it. Shh, go back to sleep." Being told going back to sleep always made Finn wider awake. He kept his head up and shoved Chess's hand away. He saw Emma slide a piece of paper behind her back. "What's that?" he asked. He started squirming his way out of Chess's grasp to reach for the paper. "Emma, did you solve the code? Are you going to surprise me? That's great. You're a genius." "Finn, it's complicated," Mom said. She kept the paper away from him. "We're still trying to understand it ourselves," Chess said. "It may not be something you need to know yet." Was anything more annoying than big kids and adults telling little kids they weren't old enough to know something? "But it's something about Mom, right?" Finn said. He told himself it was because he'd just awakened that he sounded so whiny and, well, little babyish. "It's scary," Natalie said, as if that settled it. "You don't want to know. We'll take care of things, Emma, Chess, and me. We promise." Finn slid down to stand on his own 2 feet. He leaned away from Chess to gaze towards the laptop and the papers on the desk behind Emma and Natalie. "What are alternate worlds?" he asked, because those were the words he could see. Emma sagged back against the side of the desk. "We have to tell him that much. It's not fair otherwise. Finn, there are places like our worlds with differences. There could be a lot of differences, but they start with one different decision." And for such a smart person, Emma never explained things very well. Or maybe Finn's problem was that he'd been asleep a moment ago and his brain wasn't fully awake. He blinked still, not entirely sure he was really with Chess, Emma, and Natalie in Natalie's mom's office, rather than with Mom at home, or in the boarded-up abandoned house from his dream. That dream. I was in both our house and the other house in the dream, but it was almost like 2 houses had been the same. In the dream, Finn sat in the same places, pushed down the bubble over the treble dice. The rays of sun hit at the angle over Mom's shoulder as she pulled out the wooden Jenga blocks. "Oh!" Finn shouted, so loudly that Chess winced. Chess had started to bend down, so Finn's mouth was right by Chess's ear. Finn tried to speak a little bit more softly going on, but his voice still rose with excitement. "You mean like how our house is built just like the house we found when we walked through the tunnel? Only we live in our house, so it's got furniture and everything, but nobody lives in the other house, so it's empty? Is that how you mean 2 places can be the same but different?" "Finn, the other house was just..." Chess began, but Natalie interrupted. "Guys, he's right. Exactly right. I just realized. I think the other house did have the same floor plan as yours, at least what we saw of it. The windows were boarded up. They were the same locations. The basement stairs came out the exact same spot on the first floor. The kitchen was in the same place. Believe me, my mom has dragged me through enough empty houses she's trying to sell. I know houses." But she stopped looking so excited. Lots of neighborhoods have cookie-cutter houses because it's cheaper for builders to use the same design over and over again. It doesn't mean anything. "How many of those houses are connected by a secret tunnel?" Emma challenged. "One that you reach by going into a panic room and flipping a switch and making it spin, where you feel disoriented the whole time you're in the tunnel. This has to be why that tunnel didn't make sense. And we couldn't find that answer on an online map. Finn, you just solved everything. When we went into the other house, we were in an alternate world, and we just have to go back to find Mom and rescue her." 38. Emma. Emma grabbed Finn by the shoulders and started jumping up and down like kids on the playground whose team had just scored a goal or touchdown or home run. "I did," Finn said. "We do? He didn't even sound awake yet, but he joined her in jumping and dancing around. His hair flopped up and down, side to side. Even his hair was dancing. Emma reached out, ready to pull Chess and Natalie into the celebration, but Chess pulled back. Emma, Mom said not to find her. She says it's too late, Chess moaned. We did all this work for nothing. Mom sent us the letter for nothing, or just so we didn't always wonder, I guess. Emma stopped dancing, but only for a moment. Then she started jumping again. We got that letter early, remember? She asked. Now all the other kids stared at her. Mom was sending us the letter in the mail, Emma argued. Maybe she even gave it to somebody and said, don't mail this until next week, so it wouldn't get to us very fast. She didn't know Finn and Rocket were going to find her phone in the dresser drawer the very first day, which made us search her computer right away. I bet she just left her letter on the laptop as a backup, in case the letter got lost in the mail. She knew we would search, and search, and search. Especially me, Emma thought. Mom knew I would never give up. She glanced at the coded portion of the letter. They hadn't translated yet. The part that required finding a different key to break the code. Had Mom made that code even harder? Was that her way of making them wait until they were older to know what it said? Maybe that wouldn't even matter. When they got Mom back, they could just ask her directly. We're smarter and luckier than Mom thought, so we can go and rescue her, Emma told Chess. Chess was still shaking his head. It's dangerous. Mom wants us to be safe, and we really don't know. We don't know anything about the alternate world if that was the alternate world. Except that Mom says it's a dangerous place, and we all saw was that empty house and the tall fences and those boys. Mrs. Morales got so upset. And the boys said there was a criminal who had been trapped and captured because of some kidnapped kids, Emma said. Everything was falling to place in her mind. Just like Mom said the bad people from the alternate world used the kids from Arizona as a lure. She had to rescue them. Chess, the criminal who was captured in the alternate world. What if that's actually Mom? Not that she's really a criminal, but they have bad laws. The people from the alternate world think the Greystone kids are hers, and now the ideas in Emma's brain were working like a tidal wave, everything flowing together and growing by the minute. And those boys told us the criminal was going to be tried and sentenced on Saturday. We know she'll be safe until then, but after that... Saturday's tomorrow, Finn said solemnly, as if he was the only one who could have figured that out. Chess's expression was still so doubtful, it seemed he didn't even trust the days of the week. But we don't even know where or what time on Saturday, he argued. But we can't find out. But can't we find out? Natalie asked. Emma whirled to look in the older girl's direction. Natalie had one eyebrow cocked to the side and the beginnings of her smile on her face. Those boys said there were signs with information about the criminal on practically every street corner. Emma reached out and hugged Natalie. You're right, Emma said. So we get your mom to take us back to our house, and we go through the tunnel, and we walk around to look for a sign, and that will tell us where to find Mom. It's simple. Chapter 39, Chess. It wasn't simple. Chess fell asleep Friday night feeling like he had a weight pressing down on his heart, and he woke up Saturday morning feeling like the weight had done nothing but grow overnight. Mom wants to keep Emma and Finn safe, he thought, but how could they not try to rescue Mom if there was any chance that was possible? Chess slipped out of bed and tiptoed into Emma's room. She was still sound asleep in the dim morning light. 4 late nights in a row had taken their toll. He thought he'd have to quietly rummage through her suitcase to find what he wanted, but one ray of sunlight came in through the blinds and showed him exactly what he was looking for. Emma had Mom's cell phone, clutched in her hand, pressed against her cheek. It looked like she'd fallen asleep trying to call for help. Chess blinked. Another image slipped into her head. Emma at 2 or 3 clutching her lovey. Other little kids might have had a blanket or a stuffed animal as their lovey, but Emma had carried around a piece of paper like it was her favorite thing ever. And of course, her favorite lovey paper had been covered in numbers. Numbers written in Dad's firm script. Chess froze. Even as he held his hand out towards Emma, he hadn't thought about Emma's paper lovey in years. It didn't seem fair that he could remember that so well, when so many of his other memories felt so slippery. He shook his head, trying to clear it. Dad was dead. Mom was in danger. What was Chess supposed to do now? Chess reached down, gently tugged Mom's cell phone out of Emma's grasp. Emma stretched at her fingers, still reaching for what she'd lost, and she let out a soft, distressed, "Ugh." But she didn't open her eyes. "I'll bring it back," Chess wanted to tell her. "Just give me a minute." Chess tiptoed back into his own room. As soon as he was inside the doorway, he typed the unlock code into the phone. He watched Emma do it enough times now that he knew it too. "Okay, Joe," he whispered, as if he could talk to the unknown person he heard his mother argue with on the phone in the middle of the night right before she went away. "It'd really be great if you tried to call back right now." The phone stayed silent and dead in his hands, and he opened Mom's call history. It was just as empty as before, and he checked her texts, avoiding the row of fake ones she'd sent out automatically in her email. Unless the message from the pediatrician's office about Finn's 8-year-old checkup had a hidden meaning, the phone contained nothing new, nothing helpful. Why had Chess thought that it might, just because another 8 hours had passed since the last time he looked? "Think we should wake up Finn and Emma and start Operation Let's Trick Mom?" Natalie's voice from the hallway made Chess jump. "Natalie, maybe those two get grumpy when they don't get enough sleep," Chess said. And even though he'd been at Natalie's house for a few days, talking to her and everything, his voice his morning came out sounded like he was this flustered 5th grader who didn't know what to say to a 6th grade girl. Or maybe he just sounded like he wanted to believe the only thing his little brother and sister needed protection against was not enough sleep. Sorry, let me read that again. Or maybe he just sounded like he wanted to believe the only thing his little brother and sister needed protection against was not getting enough sleep. "Do you think," he began to ask Natalie, but he couldn't figure out how he wanted to finish his sentence, "that your mom's going to call you on the phone, tell you everything's going to be okay?" Natalie finished for him. "From a totally other dimension or alternate world or whatever it's called? No." Without even thinking about it, Chess tightened his grip on his mother's phone. The rigid edges cut into his hands. "Maybe we should tell your mother what we found out," he said. "About your mom being in an alternate world?" Natalie's voice cracked with incredulity. "She'd never believe us. She'd ground me for lying, and I don't know, have 3 of you committed to a mental institution. She didn't even believe me when I told her I didn't know who those boys on the other street Wednesday afternoon, when they literally weren't even from the same universe as me. We didn't talk about this last night, but don't you think those boys acted like they knew that Natalie Mayhew from the other world? Do you think the other Natalie Mayhew is just like me or not? Am I one of the differences in the world?" It kind of freaked out Chess to hear her talking about the alternate world like it was a fact, like it was something fun to speculate about. You're older than us," Chess stammered. "You've got to see, this isn't just a game." "No, it's about getting your mom back," Natalie said, her voice ringing with certainty. "And maybe those kidnapped kids, too. I hope we can rescue those kidnapped kids. This probably will be the most important thing any of us will do in our entire lives. We'll all be heroes." Her eyes glowed and her face was flushed with excitement. Maybe it wasn't a game to her, but it wasn't something she was afraid of either. Maybe that was because she wasn't a coward like Chess. Or is it because her parents are only divorced, not dead and in danger like mine, he wondered. He let out a sigh that did nothing to relieve the pressure he felt on his lungs and heart. "You wake up, Finn," he said. "I'll get Emma." "Operation Let's Trick Mom, here we come." Natalie drummed her fingers against the wall, ending with a dramatic thump. "Mom doesn't have a clue what's about to happen." "Neither do we," Chess whispered, but Natalie was already gone, racing for Finn's room. All right, catch you tomorrow.